going on, everybody? I'm Enrique Pinheiro, and welcome back to the Hawk Show Talk Show, a Seattle Seahawks podcast. You can find me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, and I also post clips and highlights on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. My handle on all those platforms is at Hawk Show Talk Show. And on today, episode 4 of the Hawk Show Talk Show, I'm just going to be doing an immediate reaction a bit to the Carlos Dunlap cut today. So yeah, let's get right back. Let's get right into it, and let's talk some Hawk. So I'll just start with it. This morning, the Seattle Seahawks announced that they are releasing veteran, the 32-year-old Carlos Dunlap, to save. We get 14 mil back. So now we have 18 mil in cap space. We just gained 14 mil, as I said, from cutting Dunlap. And yeah, while it's probably the right move. It's the sad move because I love Carlos Dunlap. He's probably definitely one of my favorite players, probably in the top 5, I'd say, of my favorite Seahawks, which is crazy because, there's a lot of Seahawks that have been here forever, and he came onto the scene right away, and he just brought this energy I loved, and he's great. And I know this definitely doesn't mean the end of Carlos Dunlap as a Seahawk because, we could still bring him back on a cheaper deal. My worry is this goal of, we'll release him and then we'll re-sign him for cheaper. I don't have the highest of hopes of that, and part of that originates from the Sherman scenario a couple years back in 2018, how we released Sherman, and then we're like, okay, well, we want to sign you back for a cheaper deal, and then he got paid somewhere else, which is what I feel like is going to happen with Dunlap, sadly. And the other issue is him being an edge rusher, a defensive end, and that was already one of our biggest needs. And now it's an even bigger need because now we are left with Darrell Taylor, who, while I think has a lot of potential and can be great, he's coming off a big injury and he has no experience. He's basically a rookie. And then on the other side, we have Rasheem Green, he's okay, and then Alton Robinson. I really like Alton Robinson, but I would like a more established pass rusher at this point in this win now mode I always say we're in, to boost the defense. And we saw last year the difference Carlos Dunlap made. He turned our defense around. We went from allowing around 28 points a game without Dunlap to I think around 19 points a game with Dunlap, which 9-point difference. That's crazy just from one guy that we traded BJ Finney and overpaid BJ Finney and a 7th round pick for, which it was awesome at the time. So I don't know. I would have preferred what I wanted was a restructure. There were rumors of an extension, but I saw some DMs and they seem to be false. Carlos Dunlap knocked those down. He said that the rumors of extension talks were false, and nothing really happened. I guess I was hoping for. I know an extension might have been a bit of a reach because he's a 32-year-old defensive end, but that's what I would have preferred. But that's also just me having favorites, me being biased, I guess. And I also would have understood maybe just like a pay cut or something like that, where I guess this has the potential to be a pay cut, but I would have preferred something more secure where I don't fear that we might lose him to another team. I also think this is a big deal because of the whole Jerron Reed situation, because I like Jerron Reed. I was cool with him up until he got paid 11.5 mil a year, because now I think he is severely overpaid, especially for a guy who cannot perform, at least at the level he should be performing with his contract, unless he has a star pass rusher on the edge. Like, he had 10.5 sacks, I believe. The last year we had Frank Clark in the 2018-2019 season. And then with Clowney, he had a bit of a down year. He was also suspended 6 games, so that makes a big difference. And then this year, before we got Dunlap in the trade, I believe it was 7 games. He had like 1.5 sacks, something like that. And then when Dunlap came in the last 9 games, the back end of the season, he had like 6. He had 5.5 or 6 around there sacks in those 9 games, and then plus the playoff game, he had 1 or 2 sacks in it. Just a crazy change in terms of his production. So if Jerron Reed, unless we trade him or restructure his contract or like get our value for him, if we plan to just keep him the way we currently have him at, getting 11.5 mil a year, being that kind of pass rush DN while the run stuffer is more Puna or Monet or whoever we're rotating in there, we can't really expect a lot from Jerron Reed after having no pass rusher on the edge. So I think this Dunlap, this release, this cut has a way bigger impact than we kind of think. So I think it's crucial that we either get him back. That'd be my preferred choice because I love Carlos Dunlap. He already posted on Instagram saying he got the notification. He's a funny guy. I really, really like him. He brings awesome energy, and he's a beast last year. Got the game-winning sack on Kyler. I don't know if it was game-winning, but he got a late game sack against Dwayne Haskins, and he had a lot of sacks across his time as a Seahawk, his short time as a Seahawk. And I'm not worried from the point of like, oh, we traded for him and he's already gone. We gave them scraps. I'm not worried about that. It's more a personal connection with Dunlap that uh, I'd like to say a lot of us fans had, and that I do worry about our pass rush. So ideally, we re-sign him, get him on a cheaper deal. I know he liked Seattle a lot. He talked about it a lot, so maybe a bit of a hometown discount could be his choice. I don't see him as a ring chaser. I don't know. Maybe just being biased and trying to see the bright side of him, and just being optimistic. But I could definitely see him wanting to come back here. It's just a matter of money, which I hope he doesn't go somewhere and get signed big. But anyways, if we're not able to re-sign Carlos Dunlap, this just like really emphasizes the need for a pass rusher. And there's a lot of guys. Some I don't expect to get, like Shaquille Barrett, because he's gonna get paid way more than we'd like. And then the big question the big thought on my head in my head is Clowney, because I'd love to have Dunlap and Clowney. That'd be a dream of mine. Because while I know Clowney gets a lot of complaints because not too many sacks, I think he's a big difference maker. A lot of pressures out of him. I believe he had more pressures. I think he had 58 pressures his season with us in 13 games, while Frank Clark in his 16 games the year before had like 56. Or those numbers are not exact. Don't take that from me, but they're around there. And I know that Clowney had more in his less games than Frank Clark did. So while the sacks aren't there, he's definitely making a big impact, and he's obviously huge in the run game. I love Clowney, so I'd like to look at Clowney as a pass rusher. We'd get to get. We could also go for a lot of low end guys, like bring Benson Mayowa back. Wouldn't be my preferred choice, maybe as a rotational guy, but I'd like to have key starters out there and not just have this kind of rotation of Bruce Irvin, Benson Mayowa, Daryl Taylor, Rasheem Green, Alton Robinson, all over the board. I'd like to just have kind of strong guys in the middle. In other news today, Brandon Scherf just got franchise tagged, which takes an offensive lineman that I would have liked for the Seahawks to monitor the situation. He takes him off the board because I don't think we'll be trading for him, especially because now he's getting paid big. Plus, we need to trade for him. It's not a good scenario for us. Wouldn't want to mess with that. But it's free agency starting up. It's getting excited. A lot of cuts happening. A lot of them don't really matter to us. Like Lamarcus Joyner got cut. He's a decent veteran, but he's not. We don't need a safety, obviously. So yeah, it's really about to go down. So buckle up, get excited. Hopefully the Seahawks make some splash moves. O-line, D-line, wide receiver 3 or tight end, maybe a running back, a linebacker, and it depends what KJ does with linebacker. And then a corner opposite of DJ Reed, preferably Richard Sherman, because I am a biased fan who loves to see my favorite players come back to the team. But you never know. It's free agency, and we're the Seattle Seahawks, and we do not make big moves up until maybe Russell put some pressure on the team, put some pressure on Pete and John. But anyways, that's all I got for today. If there's anything you want me to address or bring up in a future episode, comment below depending on what platform you're listening or watching this on. And anyways, that's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. Have a nice night.